Welcome back. It's Huddle Up. We are back for another week. We've got with me Rob Clock, the right arm of this program, and joining us today, Eric Little, D-back from 1992, All-PSAC guy. Eric, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rand. Great to be here, Rob. Good to see
Welcome,
you as
Eric.
well. Super excited. I almost feel like it's pregame. I'm getting a little nervous here. A couple butterflies, which I guess is good.
Well, that's good. It brings back that competitive spirit. That's, part of our role here.
Yeah.
All right,
Perfect.
let's get it off right from the get-go. Talk about your start at SHIP. How did you end up there? Who recruited you? Tell us the story.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my path to Shippensburg was a little non-traditional for back in the late 80s, early 90s. I actually started off at Juniata College. So Division III school. Went there for 2 years, had an opportunity freshman year, played some special teams, return punts, return kickoffs, got my feet a little bit wet in the secondary. And then my sophomore year, had the opportunity to start at strong safety at Juniata College. And I started, but I also alternated series with another gentleman that was a sophomore on the team as well. And so I was fortunate enough to lead the team in tackling, only playing half of the series, right? So at the end of the season, the defensive coordinator had all the players come in and had end of season meetings, and he talked to me a little bit about what my goals were, what I wanted to do next year, coming back as a junior. And so I expressed my interest in obviously continuing to play strong safety, continuing to start, but also to be able to play all of the series, right? And he said, we've got another strong safety. He's same year as you. He does a really nice job as well. And I said, Coach, I said, I'm with you 100%. I said, a great player, good athlete. I said, but I led the defense in tackles as a sophomore, playing half the series. I said, now, I would think that you might want somebody like that on the field a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? And he couldn't commit anything to me, right? He said, I can't commit to your playing time for next year. And I said, okay, I said, we'll keep working hard and keep doing my thing. And right now, my brother-in-law, TJ Santos, who is obviously a Red Raider as well,
Yep.
was talking to him at the time. And, he was saying about, Ship just had a changing of the guard with regards to the coaches, bringing in Rocky Rees. Rocky Rees was the head coach at Susquehanna University. And I actually played in the same conference as Coach Rees. And so once I heard that, and the light shined down on me, I guess, so to speak, because when you look at it, my best game of the year, that sophomore year, was against Rocky.
That's
out in Selinsgrove, right? And so I had the opportunity to talk to TJ, and so TJ was my biggest fan and my biggest recruiter. He talked to Coach Rees a little bit about myself, and then I had the opportunity to talk with Coach Rees as well, and I highly recommended that he watch that Juniata Susquehanna game that we just had this past year. And so I never had the opportunity to ask him if he did. I want to think that he did, but nonetheless. So long story short, I made the decision that based on not only athletics, but based on academics as well. Shippensburg's got an amazing business school.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I wanted to be. And, one of the first people that I met at Shippensburg when I was going into the business department, when I was getting ready to transfer in, was Dr. Winter, right? Yeah. So everybody knows Dr. Winter.
Everybody.
Amazing football player in his day, great coach, helped out me tremendously within the business program itself. And, just an amazing man that we all still stay in touch with. So it's pretty cool. So that's kind of my path and how I got started at Juniata College, but then how I transferred into Shippensburg. And, I tell people, I said, the only thing that I would do different is I would go to Ship right out of high school. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
no starting at Juniata, and that was back in the day before the transfer portal and before you had a lot of movement in college football, right? And so uh, I had the opportunity to experience that, and from my perspective, it was tough to leave the friends and the relationships and the
Sure.
teammates that I had up at Juniata. But again, on the other side of it, I look at some of my best friends now, uh, and it's all the guys from Ship,
Mhm.
and it's like we never missed a beat.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone and you still talk to them. And you're like, hey, remember that time when we went down to the Jersey Shore and this and that happened? And I'll stop the conversation there because I don't want to incriminate anybody, but it's all good stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
we're glad you made the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Now, did you go in right as a starter as a junior then at Ship?
Yeah, so I came into camp, and for me, I think the timing was right. It was a new set of coaches, right? So the new coaches had gone through spring ball, and then I started in August with camp, right? And
Mm.
so they had their depth chart. They didn't really know who I was, what I
Sure.
was about. Funny thing was when I got to camp, I'm going in there and I'm thinking, okay, we're going from Division 3 to Division 2. What's that going to be like, and what's that transition going to be like?
Yeah.
Uh, and I think the biggest blow to my ego was when I got to camp. I had number 82. No offense to number 82. Not many defensive backs wore number 82.
It's true.
So we got into camp. Camp was 2 weeks. We got about a week into camp, and the starting strong safety got injured during camp, and so I had the opportunity to step in and show the coaches, show the other players, show everybody, who I was, what I was all about, and the fact that what the guy might be able to play a little ball. So
Mhm.
we had the opportunity to do that, and the neat thing was, unfortunately, when the individual came back, that was the starter, came back from his injury, and coach says, starting defense, come on out here, and like I'm standing there and I'm like, what do I do? Like I don't really know these guys. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. So I just kind of stood there and watched, right? And so he was going out in the field, and Coach Fairbanks, the defensive back coach, goes, no, Little, get out here.
Nice.
And so from that day, probably starting the second week of camp, I was fortunate enough to be a starter my whole career at Shippensburg. And so, the funny thing is, as the new guy, but experienced guy, right? Um, Later in that series, when I was out there playing, I was kind of kneeling down by myself because I didn't really know a whole lot of guys at that time. And Pickett and Maines were about 10 yards down, right? And I heard him talking, and I heard him say something to the effect of, hey, that new dude, I forget his name. You know what? I think he's going to be all right. And so from that perspective, it really boosted my confidence. And you talk about the relationships you form and you bond. Those guys, I'm sure they don't even remember that story, right? But the neat thing is, they're still some of my best friends now. I was texting both of those guys today as I was doing a little homework for tonight's session. I found some old pictures, and I sent some old pictures to Pick, sent some old pictures to Maine, and Maine's text back, and he's like, where did they get this picture? This is like my freshman year in high school. So good stuff.
Well, you talk about some of those guys, and that's something I think I'm really interested in too with that team. I told you earlier, I perused the Hall of Fame, and there's so many guys from that defense in the Hall of Fame already. And then if not a Hall of Famer, it's an all conference guy or whatever it is. And just that defense was dominant. Talk about playing on that defense, maybe who the players were with you. And I mean, I know Mac was in that group and several other
Sure.
guys. Talk about that defense a little bit and what that year was like with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. That was the best defense that I've ever played on. Uh, I mean, you start up front and you've got Mac right at nose guard. You got Big Rob on the team. You had Al Cormier. You had all these guys that were just big and athletic. You look at the linebackers that we had. We had Pickett Maines inside. I mean, those were they had to be the best duo in the country at linebacker.
Yeah.
With their athletic ability, with their speed, their quickness, their ability to read was just unbelievable. And then you get back to the secondary, right? And you've got Fick back there. My junior year we had Darian Smith, Jerry Dokes, Mike G. Dokes is the most athletic player that I've ever played with.
Yeah.
His canny ability to be able to react and his athletic ability was just absolutely off the charts. I mean, I was doing a little homework earlier today, and in one game he had 2 block kicks. I mean, you're lucky to get 2 block kicks in a career. He had it in the game.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the best thing about that defense was you had so many good players, and for me specifically, I know the thing that helped me out the most is we had Fick over the top, right? Led the country in interceptions that year. And it allowed me as a strong safety to play more aggressive, to do things maybe that I wouldn't normally do because I knew that I had him over the top, which was really cool, and I'll make fun of myself a little bit here. I can remember one time we were playing against Cal U at home, and we were playing cover 2. So I was a deep safety and Fick was a deep safety, right? And Cal U had this quarterback that was amazing, and they like to do the RPO before it was kind of the RPO, right? And so he fakes the handoff. He's coming down like he's going to pitch it, right? And so me being 12 yards deep, playing the half safety, he's coming over to my side of the field, man. And I take off, right? I'm like, I'm going to nail this guy. As soon as he catches the pitch, he's done. He's mine. I got him, right? Well, as soon as I do that, and Rob's going to laugh because he knows what this is all about, playing quarterback. So as soon as I take about 3 steps up, he pulls it back, right? And the wideout is streaking down the field. And I'm saying to myself, oh, shit. And then in my head, I go, I'm good. I got Fick over the top. Fick's not supposed to be over the top, but Fick will be there. He'll be over the top. And he was there, so he, he CYA'd me. And it was all good. You know what I mean? Because that was kind of the team, right? It didn't matter who got the credit. It didn't matter who got all the interceptions. It didn't matter who got all the accolades, right? It was about playing for a common goal, and it was just really cool to have all those guys on the team and know that inside of football, outside of football, later on in life, come to find out, these guys are all still there for you, which is really cool. So
very cool.
I really love that.
Very cool.
Eric, you mentioned Coach Rees earlier. So here's the question for you. What was Rocky like as a coach, and what influence did he have on you?
Yeah, so Coach Rees, very high standards, and he enforced those standards, which was good. As young men at 18 to 22 years old, you were away from home and you needed a little bit of guidance, right? And so, I look at Rocky, and the things that I learned from him were really about preparation, right? Knowing what you're supposed to be doing, and then doing it, right? Making sure that you execute on it, right? And he knew that you weren't going to get it right the first time, right? And so as I've grown up and grown into my professional isms. I'm a big fan of grit, right? And I think that really came from Rocky, right? It's the ability to know that you're not going to get it done the first time, but you know that you're going to be able to keep doing it, keep working hard, keep understanding and looking at things so that you know that uh, ask for help, get people to help you. And so those are a couple things that I really learned from Rocky. He was like a father figure as well. Um, he praised you when you did well. He helped you, when you could do things a little bit better or do something a little bit differently. And when he passed and you saw the service that was for him up at Shippensburg, and you saw the amount of alumni that came back. I just really think that speaks volumes about him as not only a coach, but him as a man, right? And his mentality was more around, you know, yes, I want you to be a good football player. I want you to be a good student athlete. But if I'm not helping prepare you for life down the road, then I'm kind of missing the mark a little bit. Was his kind of thought process as well. So pretty neat. Was fortunate enough to have him come across my football life. So
Well, it's interesting because so you played with Mac and you played for Rocky. Now Mac's a coach. Talk about Mac as a coach. What are your thoughts on him as a coach? He's had some great success at Ship, and now a couple down years, but I feel like he's turning this program around again.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. What I see with Mac is his passion for the game, um, his understanding of the student athletes today versus back in late 80s, early 90s when we played. It's a totally different field right now, and the way that we interacted with coaches and teammates is a lot different than the way they interact now. And I think Max has really been able to adapt and change his style a little bit. As a player, he was very passionate. He was very, very, very good at his skill. Um, and so I think he brings those aspects into the coaching world as well. But the other thing that really impresses me with Mac and the Shippensburg football program now, he's really taken this concept of family and and caring about the players both on and off the field, right? And there's probably a handful of examples that we can all think of that would illustrate that. And it doesn't matter whether you text Mac at 7 in the morning or 10 at night. You know what I mean? He's gonna get back to you. And that's pretty cool because I personally feel like I still have a connection to the program,
Yes.
not only with everything that both you guys are doing, but also knowing that I played with Max, so I had that relationship. But now that he's coaching, having continued that relationship and being able to continue that relationship with Shippensburg University football is really important. So I think it's really neat with with everything he's been able to do, everything he's been able to accomplish, and I have no doubt that the last couple of years they've been a little bit of a challenge, and quite honestly, as Mac would tell you, he had to clean some house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He had to get the right guys on the bus, and that's important. If you don't get the right guys on the bus, it's very difficult to be successful. So, and I really feel like he's understood that. He's taken action on that. And he's got some really talented kids. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it up last Saturday to check out that scrimmage, but hopefully here at the beginning of the season, I'll get a chance to get up and check them out. But I was watching the highlight video that you guys sent out. I think it was earlier today.
Yeah.
And it's looking good. I like it. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% about Mac, the concept of family. And I think you're right. The kids are so different today. Again, I coached for a long time. I stepped away from coaching because quite honestly, it was changing a little bit for me. And Mac's brutally honest with the kids,
Sure.
and sometimes they might not want to hear it, but like you said, he needed to get the right kids on the bus. And I think he's doing a heck of a job. Again, we're young, but I think we all saw it Saturday. We're much better than we were, and it's just going to
Sure.
continue.
And I'll,
So,
I'll tell you, having been there at the end of practice and he gathers his kids around,
yeah,
he's talking to him about character, discipline. It's
Right.
making good
Yeah.
choices.
yeah,
Yeah,
he making good choices. I mean, he's definitely preaching the right message. That's for
yeah,
sure. All right, so you tell me you're coming up to a game here. Hopefully, we see you up there on the 6th or maybe at homecoming, Eric. We're trying to draw a lot of guys back. We had a nice little turnout at the scrimmage last weekend.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on like our R4L and getting this alumni group to kind of form a team really to support the program?
Yeah, no, kudos to both of you gentlemen for spearheading it. I know there's a lot of other folks that are involved.
Yep.
Uh, I absolutely love it. The ability, uh, Fran, I'm sure I've met you before. I'm sure I saw you before, but up until about a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have recognized you. I wouldn't have known you by name
Right.
without doing this, right? And I think it's really cool. The fact that we're all older into our careers, grandkids, not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
So kids, take your time.
Rob and I are there.
We're there.
Uh, but the ability for us to get back and meet some folks for me is really cool, because when I would go back to homecoming a couple of years ago, you hung out with your buddies that you played with that you knew were going to be up there, right? You'd start texting a couple of weeks, a month or so in advance, and all right, who's bringing the beer, who's bringing the hot dogs, who's bringing the hamburgers, all that kind of stuff. Um, and to be able to continue to do that is exciting enough, right? But now getting a chance to actually really sit down and talk to some of the folks that have come before us, some of the folks that have come after us, and the cool thing is, I feel like I've known you guys forever,
Yeah.
and we really haven't, and I think that's what our R4L has really been able to do. I know at the Division II level, it's very difficult from a financial perspective and from a budgetary perspective,
Sure.
and the
Yeah.
ability to be able to generate more funds for Mac to be able to do some things that maybe he's wanted to do for the last couple of years that he hasn't been able to because of those restraints. I think is extremely helpful, and just to listen to the guys talk, about the old stories and stuff. I'm cracking up listening to Fick and even some of the guys that you guys have played with. It's just good stuff, and I think the more that we can do that, I hope that it helps the current student athletes understand that it's bigger than just Shippensburg football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a long history. There's a long distinguished history, and all these guys that have played before you are here to help and support you, right? Whether it be financially, whether it be after you graduate with trying to find a job or helping with interviews or whatever that process looks like. And I think that's another thing that Mac does too. With building the camaraderie, but also building that family component to it. But then also, letting them know that this program is bigger than just them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you think it's just all about you, then you know what? You're probably at the wrong place.
Probably at the wrong place. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the cool things last weekend when we were up there and Rob was with me, Matt came out after the scrimmage and he sat and talked to the guys at the tailgate for probably half an hour or maybe more. And it wasn't so much football talk as much as it was just
Sure.
catching up, sharing stories, talking about when he played, when everybody played. It was really kind of special because it was really intimate and just kind of it was something that brings you close to the program.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's rare. That's
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, so one more for you. We're going to put you on the spot. So we asked you about that 91 team and that amazing defense and some of those players. And quite honestly, you were very humble there because you were All-PSAC. That is a huge accomplishment.
Not easy.
Again, we talked about this earlier, especially when you're surrounded by really good players. At some point, the people that are selecting those can't put all Shippensburg kids on that. They have to recognize other teams too. So to have that many is pretty remarkable. So most memorable play from your memory from that team, you personally. Let's hear it.
Oh, me personally, I would have to say 91 season against East Stroudsburg in the first round of the national playoffs. We had beat East Stroudsburg 2 weeks before that at Shippensburg. Then we beat New Haven to qualify, and then the following week, the first week of playoffs, we went to East Stroudsburg. And so in that game, I was fortunate enough to have 2 interceptions.
Nice.
So from that perspective, I would say that's probably a big highlight, something that I'm proud of. But you know what? At the end of the day, when I was looking at some of the stats from that game, it was a total team defense that really helped. When you look at it, I had to laugh. We held East Stroudsburg in that game to 9 yards rushing.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, on the other side of that, the secondary could have done a little better. We gave up 427 yards in the air. So Howie put that game online maybe a year ago, and I've watched it twice since. And the first time that I watched it, I'm like, all right, you played all right. In memory, I played all right, right? And then I actually watch it, and I'm like, dude, I'd like to have that game back. Like I could have done better.
Yeah.
Now
Self-critiquing.
we won. Luckily, our offense was fantastic and was able to keep us in the game and score at the end. And George Strish was able to get through and block the extra point in overtime.
Oh, that's right.
Block the extra point. We're on by 1 point. Now, a little caveat to that. So fast forward like 8-10 years later, George Strish, his family owns funeral homes up in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area.
Yes.
And I was driving up 81 north, and I was probably about 5 miles before the Pine Grove exit, right? If you know the Pine Grove exit off 81, there's a McDonald's there, right? And so I'm going up the highway, and I see this car coming from behind me, and it's like a rocket ship. I'm like, man, who is that? What the heck is going on? And it's getting closer. I'm like, is that a station wagon? Is it a pickup truck? I'm like, nah, that's a hearse. And Strish goes, and I looked over, and he's driving. He blows right by me, right? And then we get up to the McDonald's there, and I get off, and I go in, use the bathroom, and I see this hearse. And I walked in there, and George is standing in the lobby of McDonald's, and I hadn't seen him since college, right? Yeah. And you'd have thought that we were reenacting him blocking that extra point in that national playoff game in overtime. As much as we were hugging and yelling, and, you know what I mean? And that to me is what ship football is all about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being able to have that kind of a relationship. So yeah, good story there. I always like to tell that one.
Yeah, and like all the connections, like with George, he's from Hanover. He was a Hanover Hawkeye. Mike George played with him. Clyde Tinner played with him. And
sure.
Sadly, when we buried Clyde's dad, of course, it was at George's family's funeral home, and I got to catch up with George. And what a great guy, though. I'm glad you brought him up. I haven't thought about him since Clyde's dad's passing.
Good dude. Coach Ellsworth was the defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
And I forget, I wish I remembered which game it was, but one of the games, it was a big game. Can't remember the game, but it was we nicknamed it Body Bag Weekend, right? and so
you can't do that.
And so lo and behold, George Strish's dad comes to the game on Saturday, right? Well, at 9 a.m., Strish walks into the locker room, throws down a big old body bag in the middle of the locker room.
Wow.
And it was game on.
Wow.
There was nobody. I don't even think the Steelers were going to beat us that day.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, good stuff.
With that group, I got to ask you, with that group, was beyond that kind of madness, what was it like pregame? That sounded like a pretty intense defense. Were you guys just like out of control, like in the locker room before the game, or was it just more quiet and thoughtful?
The secondary was we were quiet
Yeah.
in the locker room before the game. Everybody was kind of getting in the right mindset. Everybody knew what they had to do, and we were just, waiting, anticipating the opening kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the D line side, the linebacker side,
Yeah, I was wondering.
that was crazy over there. Some of those dudes. I mean, Coach Schatzel's in there headbutting guys with, and he's got blood coming down his forehead. Ellsworth's in there punching kids, hitting guys, and getting all fired up. And so when we came out of that locker room, man, we were always ready to rock and roll, no doubt about that. But I would say the secondary guys were quiet in the pregame, but then once we got on the field, it was game time. And there was a lot of big hitters on that whole defense.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I've not talked much about the offense. Obviously, I played defense, but that offense was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Looking at you had Pettyjohn, you had Horshaw, you had Gilbert, you had Prbula, you had all these guys, not to mention the linemen. And I think that's another thing that really helped us too, is that, steel sharpens steel, right? When you went against these guys every day at practice, you were going against some good dudes.
Yeah.
And so that was always exciting for me, because we did a lot of hitting, we did a lot of full pads, we did a lot of contract drills, and I think that's what gave us our edge. And when it came time to play, hey, we were ready to go. We didn't have to second think things, and we didn't have to think about it and then react. We just reacted to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it happened. So yeah, good stuff. Good old days. You're getting me fired up. I'm ready to go out and play again.
We're gonna get you out there September 6th, man, for that home opener.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got it on the calendar.
Get that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, that's all I had. Anything else you want to add or anything?
Between me, Fickus, and Dokes, we have at least 6 or 7 body parts that have been replaced. Between hips and knees, I've got both hips done. I think Fick's got both hips. Dokes has had both hips, and Fick just had a knee done.
Yeah, he did have a knee done.
I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
I thought you were going to say 6 or 7 interceptions or something like that.
No. Fick had 11 or 12 by himself in one season.
Yeah.
So now we got stories about body parts and body bags. So that should be interesting.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, the 91 team was a little crazy. Thank goodness it transitioned over into the field too.
Hey, thanks a lot, Eric, man. It was great. You did a great job, and hope to see you up there on the 6th if you can get there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for everything that you're doing. Really,
Eric, thank you.
We'll see you guys soon.
Great seeing you.
Thanks, Rob.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See ya.